Yeah, if I understand you correctly, let's assume that that covered area was not part of the FAR. Then your FAR would be 0.74. And what's allowed there by the citywide flow area ratios is a 0.6.
Is it what?
0.6.
By the city.
Right. And so even taking aside this extra part because of definitions, you're still talking about approximately a home that's 25% larger than would be allowed in other areas of the city that are controlled by citywide flow area ratios. Is that correct?
Well, yes. And again, though, we are asked to do a 300-foot radius to canvass all the properties within that. We have no guidelines that say you have to meet this FAR 0.6 that is in the city guidelines. We have to canvass and get an average. And if you look at the handout that I did, of the 50 properties, 20 were 0.74. 5 of them were 0.9 and higher, as high as 0.98.
You know, I understand, I drove by the property, I understand it. And I think from the street, there isn't much of a difference from the houses around it. I concede that. You happen to be talking to someone who spent years working and getting a city attorney's opinion that the citywide flow area ratios do in fact apply here in the Shores since January 1st of the year 2000. The only opinion that is written right now by a city attorney is that the flow area ratios that are citywide do apply in the Shores. There's been a lot of discussion about, there's a whole history to all the legal arguments of why, and what the City Council did in amending the La Jolla Shores PDO effective January 1st of 2000. In any event, the current city attorney is not imposing that, not following the prior city attorney's agreement, decision, and there were even, just so everybody's aware of how rough this issue gets, at one point there was a memorandum that was sent to the trustees of the La Jolla Community Planning Association, and it said also to the City Council, and it said that the city attorney's opinion was rescinded, and that turned out to be a fraudulent document. So it's really a complicated issue. I think that there should be at least an interim flow area ratio that is the citywide flow area ratio in the Shores, pending a PDO change and update. That's obviously off in the distant future. So I still think that because of the work I've done and because of my deep understanding of this, I think that we can't allow another home that's 25% larger than would be allowed in other parts of the city. And in this case, technically, it's 50% larger, almost. We're talking a 0.89, it's almost 0.9, when allowed as a 0.6. Using the city's rules, it's almost 50% larger than would be allowed anywhere else where citywide flow area ratios are applied. And I believe they ought to be applied in the Shores. I believe that was the intent of the City Council. During the 1990s, there was an agreement, a gentleman's agreement, between the leaders of the community organizations in La Jolla and the Development Service Department, and that agreement was that the maximum flow area ratio in the La Jolla Shores would be 0.6. There are documents that show that in 1993 up to the year 2000, the flow area ratio maximum was 0.6 because there was so much argument going on in discussion and in what happened was La Jolla Shores PDO as adopted in 1974 wasn't working. Everybody was trying to build larger and larger lots. Okay, anyway, there's a huge history to it, and I think we've got to not allow a home that's 25 to 50% larger than it should be allowed.